In this video, we're going to be showing you how we created this Happy New Year 2014 design using a couple of our stock fonts. Now, anytime we go about creating a design, we think about how you're actually going to make that transfer. Now, this design was requested by a customer who saw this design but wanted a single template version of it. And so, real simple, all we had to do was instead of having everything be SS10s, the boxes around the numbers, we switched those out to SS16s. And the rest of it, like I said, is pretty straightforward. Now this particular set of fonts, we're using two different fonts in this example, does use a few SS6s as well. But all we're going to do is brush in our 16s, brush in our 10s, sprinkle in a couple of SS6s here and there. You have one single template you have to cut, which is going to save you money. But more importantly, when you actually go to make that transfer, it's going to be a lot easier to make this transfer using one template than using two. I mean, it's just kind of basic common sense. So what we're going to do here is show you how to go about using the tools here in EasyStone to quickly create this for us. So what we're going to do here is go into our text tool, and we're just going to type out the numbers we're going to need. So we just type out 2014 and the number 3. And then we're going to come in here to our font manager. We're going to change the font we used for the numbers with what's athletic condensed. Let me zoom in here a little bit so we can see this. And then what we're going to do is add a little bit of text spacing between our numbers. And then we're going to set our stone size to be 3.4 millimeters, is what we use for SS10 stones, and hit resize font. Now when you do this, there's a couple of stones in here we need to switch back to 6s. Okay, so that takes care of that. And then what we're going to do is take those and use this option here, group letters. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a weed box. I want to show you a couple of various options here. We could, if we wanted to, click on add weed box, and you could see how big a weed box it adds. But did you know that you can also choose shift add weed box, and it'll add a half a weed box? And did you know too, if you really wanted to, you could right click on add weed box and specify the exact margin. So when you're specifying your weed margin, you're going to specify that in millimeters. There's 25.4 millimeters to an inch. So here we have the weed margin set at 25, which will give us a 1-inch border. Okay, and a lot of times I will use shift add weed box, which gives me a 1/2-inch border, which is exactly what I need for this particular project. So then what we're going to do is come in here, and we're just going to copy that over from point to point, node to node, and hit the space bar, right click on the last one. That will make a duplicate on that last one. Okay, then what we're going to do is take our 0 and our second weed box and hit C and E, our 1 and our third weed box and hit C and E, and then the 4 on the last weed box, C and E, and the 3 on the last weed box, C and E. Now, you don't really see much happening here, but if we go into wireframe mode, we can see this a little bit better. So we'll take our 4 and we'll just slide it down a bit. Take our 3 and we'll push it up a bit, like so. All right, and then we'll take our weed boxes, shift page down. That pushes all of our weed boxes all the way to the bottom, and then if you look at it, now you can kind of see how it's set up. Okay, so let's take our 2 and let's change those to crystal, our 0 to crystal, our 1 to crystal, 4 to crystal, and our 3 to crystal. Now we'll go ahead and delete the 3. That part of the 3 we're not going to use. Part of the 4 we're not going to use. And then what we want to do is go ahead and add our SS16 stones. So you can see right now my stone size is SS6. So right click on SS16, changes it to my SS16 stone size. Right click on the color, which in my case we're going to use hot pink. And then we're going to select our weed box, go to the stone tab, and choose Alt Add Stones. And that will detect corners and do that for all of the weed boxes. Ta-da! Very simple, right? Go ahead and select the whole design. We're going to hit delete stone paths, and we're going to check spacing. Takes care of that. Now you can see here our 3, we have some touching stones. So let's go ahead and select those. Using our arrow keys, we'll just nudge those down a bit. Same thing with our 4 here. So we'll go ahead and select those. And we'll go ahead and nudge those up like so. And I think we need one more there, so let's go ahead and drop that down like so. Looks like we need to pick those up there. There we go. Just looks like there's no overlapping stones there. So now you can kind of see how that looks. All right, let's go ahead and do a check spacing again. There's no overlapping stones. So now we need to do the Happy New Year part of the text here. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and type out happy. Let's go ahead and change our font. In this case, we're going to use our Keep Calm font. Brand new font that we just released on Christmas. So there is happy. We're going to add a little bit of spacing between our lettering. Something like so. And then we're going to change our lettering to be SS 10 stones. We're going to go ahead and set those to crystal. And let's go ahead and group those together, and let's go ahead and group this together as well. So now we need to do New Year. So same thing down here. We're going to type in New Year. We're going to be using the Keep Calm font again. Let's go ahead and set our stone size to. Now this particular font uses a couple of 6s here and there. So let's go ahead and set those stones back to 6s. Our W here uses a few. All I'm doing is selecting one stone and then holding my shift key and selecting the others and then resizing them all at once. So now we'll go ahead and set these to crystal. We'll go ahead and group these together as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take all 3 of those and hit C, and that will center everything left to right. And then what I want to show you here is you see how tight New Year is to the bottom of the boxes and how far away happy is, right? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to even that out. And because each the boxes here are grouped and New Year is grouped and happy is grouped, if I select this and hit V for Victor, watch what happens. That spacing is now identical. So we'll go ahead and add a weed box around. And then what I usually do is I copy over, make a duplicate, and then we're going to right click on MU. And what that's going to do is going to simulate our stones. It's going to add our watermark. It's going to add the dimensions of the design all in one fell swoop. And now we can export the JPEG version of the design, and then we can also export a vector file if we need to send to our cutter for cutting. So that is how we created the Happy New Year design, and by just using a few SS16 stones for the boxes, we're able to go ahead and use this as one template, which is going to make the process much easier to make your transfers. And of course, it's going to save you money on the number of templates you have to cut. Thanks for watching.